Welcome to Honest Whispers Review. On this video I'll be reviewing New 52 Wonder Woman 1/6 scale limited edition statue. It was released by Ikon Collectibles back in December 31st, 2016. Ikon Collectibles is an Australian-based company, and due to their licensing restrictions, they can't sell this outside of Australia or New Zealand. So you have to buy this from either a third party or a private seller. It's limited to 600, and this particular one, as it's labeled on the outer carton, the back of the 4-color box, and also the bottom of the statue is number 95 out of 600. This statue, from the bottom of the base to the top, is about basically 14 inches tall, and from toe to head is basically about 12 inches tall. There's no designer or sculptor credited to this, so the company might have decided not to, or it could have been a team collaboration on both parts. I'm going to go over 6 different categories to review this. First category is design, which basically covers the look, the pose, and even the concept. And this one, as you can see, has a very nice pose, classic Wonder Woman pose. One of her leg is, slightly bent. She's holding her lasso, hair blowing in the wind. And on this one, she comes with the base like a rock, but on the edge, it's slightly like lifted off the ground, or rather, it kind of gives it an edge of a cliff look to it. And overall look, definitely like it. It looks like she's either getting ready to fight, or she's basically on her victory pose right there. Although the prototype looks a lot better in my opinion, which is always the case, this one still turned out nicely. Only problem I have with this is that due to its narrow base, it's definitely takes away some stability of the statue. So when I rotate this in sometimes it does tend to wobble a bit. It on the bottom, basically it has the logo handwritten, the number of this edition, and of course basically it has like 4 round felts on the edges. So it's I don't know, I mean, it is a statue, so you're just gonna keep it, pretty much displayed somewhere flat, I would assume. But I live in California, so because it's earthquake country, I do have concerns that a really big earthquake has a good potential to probably tip this over. And I can see tips of the hair breaking if this ever falls. Possibly her arm. But other than that, I like the overall design and look and the concept of it. So I give this a 9 out of 10 on the design. Next category is sculpting, which basically covers the execution and the quality of the molding. And this one, overall, very good details, nicely proportioned. As you can see on the hair, very thin strands are sculpted. So a lot of work and details to it. Natural curls, or natural looking curls, and even the tips decided to do a lot of the edges. Now the face overall looks good. I think it could have, there's certain areas it's just too flat and too narrow, especially when I look kind of at this angle. Other than that, overall face looks good. It could have looked a lot prettier. As you can see on this one, her face looks great on the prototype. She looks meaner on this one. Costume, definitely nice details. Everything's very accurate. Good muscle definitions. Her breasts are like perfectly proportioned, nicely sculpted. Bracelets overall done well, but then the hand, especially when she's like right here, her left hand holding the lasso, everything just kind of melted and, you know, blended in there, so you can't really see any finger definition. Certain areas of the fingers right here just gets a little bit messy. I like how it does right here on this, where the hair meets her shoulders right there. A lot of bumps and rough edges, so that's usually like a molding issue. I have a huge issue with the butt. Could have been way better, but as you can see, it just, the way her butt crack isn't well defined makes her butt look saggy, and it is slightly out of proportion. Like her right butt cheek is slightly smaller than her left butt cheek. And as you can see, just the way it's shaped, her right butt cheek looks really weird. It just looks triangular. Although with the reflection, you can't really see it as well. So also just the fact that her butt crack isn't really defined, it makes it look just wider than it should. While her back and waist is like perfectly done. Legs have good balance between athletic and feminine look to it. Boots, realistic little wrinkles and curves right there. And then the boulder, overall the rock does have kind of a good realistic edge to it, but then when you start looking closely, I just think there's too much, and it starts looking weird, like spider webs and almost organic. So I think it could have been done better, but you know, the quality, certain areas as I mentioned, or where I haven't shown yet, there's little bumps here and there, or the edge is just not that smooth or clean. And as you can see, even right here on her left bracelet, there is a slight gap between her arm and her bracelet, while her right arm fits in, well, basically it fit in perfectly. So the sculpting, definitely not the best in quality. I give it a 7 out of 10. Next category is painting. Painting basically covers the quality of the paint, the accuracy, and for me, this one overall is done well. I really like the metallic and glassy, the gloss finish to her costume. So very nice shine to it, especially when you, when the light reflects off the costume. So you could see a lot more details to it, and her skin, hair, and everything else pretty much is matte finish, so it really makes it stand out more and just looks more realistic. The paint on the rock overall is okay. I wouldn't say great. As I mentioned, it just, when you look at it really close, it just looks too much webbing or done. And then on the top, there's more light color or paint on the top than you'd see on the bottom. So I don't know if it's supposed to have this like an algae look or whatever, but then, which I don't mind, but then when you look at the bottom of the feet or near the feet, it's just solid, like they just looks a little sloppy. So when you look that close, it takes away the realism of it. But of course, from far away, very, you know, all of these little mistakes here and there, whether if it's bleeding through the borders, like on her belt where it's all wiggly and stuff, or her shoulders right here where the skin color is bleeding onto the hair, even right there. And then there's certain areas where the paint is kind of scratched off, and right here there is another spot here where it looks like paint's just kind of either scratched or chipped off. So very minor problems you have to look up close at. Right here, like angles right here on the boot, whether the line's slightly wiggly, something you could only see up close. Oh, and of course the stars. Certain areas of the stars, you just don't get the sharp edges. Like this one's even out of shape a little. The back, this is one of the worst ones here, is this one. And this one's not too bad, but you still see certain points or edges where it's just not that straight or smooth. Even right here on the panty line right there, or her shorts. So it's very minor. There is a lot though. That's the problem. There's a lot, but you do have to look very closely at it. Otherwise, when you look from a pretty good distance, quality of the paint is overall good. Even right here on her right eye, her eyes are symmetrical, but unfortunately you could see slight edge right there on her right eye, while her left eye is pretty much you can see the white pupil area running over that border right there, that edge, that creased line. So eyes are slightly off, but again, something you have to look very closely at. So the painting, I give it a 7 out of 10. Next category is packaging. Packaging, this is a nice little box, 4-color box, good design, has a logo on top, the prototype or what you get, the statue on the front. Nice sample, background, very nicely done with the stars, the yellow stripe, and then the red background. And on this one, basically the just the Wonder Woman statue is all glossy. It has a gloss finish to it, while the rest of the box has a matte finish. Right and left are pretty much the same. It's just a blank. The pattern just continues around it while it's pretty much blank. As you can see, the star continues, and this one is the same as well with the little logo on the bottom. The back has the, as I mentioned before, the hand numbering on the back, a little description of Wonder Woman, and Cliff Chang's artwork as an example of her new 52 costume or look. And bottom is just a simple UPC and Ikon logo. Now the best thing about this also, I wouldn't say the best thing, to me the best thing is like the glossy part. The next best thing though is that it comes with an outer carton, and it's not just a simple carton box. You get the Wonder Woman logo. It's numbered both on the front and back, as it has some details about the statue, not just the number but the weight, dimensions, things like that. You get the Ikon Wonder Woman logo, and all the fragile logos, same logos on the sides. So reason why I like this outer carton box is that it keeps the 4-color box condition in very good condition. So I was very happy with it when I saw it and pretty much opened it. So packaging, can't go wrong with this. Very nicely done, very nice design. I give it a perfect 10 out of 10. Next category is value. Value basically covers the retail versus quality and retail versus aftermarket value. This one, I bought it from a Australian web store or a website called popculture.com. So they're basically like a collectible store that's based in Australia with shipping included. I pretty much paid $145. I noticed on eBay there's a couple of these statues listed, the lowest one at $135 with shipping included. So definitely good deals out there. This is fairly new, so it isn't sold out yet, but the edition size is so small that I feel like in time the aftermarket value will go up. But for now, even if you're paying at a good deal $135 or maybe around $150, the quality you get from the statue definitely overall I think it's worth it. I'm very happy with this statue. I wish there's certain areas that could have been better, or even certain areas where the quality could have been better, but it is what it is. And for what it is, as I mentioned, at around $150, definitely something that I would recommend. In the future, I could see this go up maybe good 200 to maybe 300% in aftermarket value, maybe 5 to 7 years from now. I didn't even know that this existed before. I just happened to randomly see it, see a picture of it, and I thought it was something that was coming soon, but found out that it's just basically Australia exclusive. So I think that may eventually add the rarity to this. So you won't see this in the States as much as you would compared to something like that's from DC Collectibles or maybe even a Sideshow. So the value on this, I give it a high 9 out of 10. So overall, which is the final category and pretty much self-explanatory, I just accumulate all the categories, the 5 prior categories: design, sculpting, painting, packaging, and value. And for me, just on the highlights, I like the overall look, the pose. I like the way the costume is done, the nice details and the shine to it. Unfortunately, I do have my concerns on the stability. The paint isn't all that nicely, applied, perfectly. So definitely a lot of mistakes here and there, or you could see them, either like certain areas, like it's probably hard to see off the camera, but you could see on her upper right butt cheek there's like a darker, you could see certain paint strokes, what I'm trying to mention. So you could see that they're either trying to either fix a mistake, or next they just, I don't know, I think it could have done better. And of course the molding quality overall could have been slightly better, but other than that, I like it. I like the pose, the look, and everything. And that's why overall I give it an 8 out of 10. So to recap: design, 9 out of 10. Sculpting, 7 out of 10. Painting, 7 out of 10. Packaging, 10 out of 10. Value, 9 out of 10. And overall, 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time, eat your vitamins and say your prayers.